this week's session is about the same challenges that Ray was talking about earlier, is about getting your, where's Joel gone now?
No.
I know he's supposed to be jumping on another session this evening as well, so he's got a client. But the scheduling part of things is also something that a lot of people find a challenge. Nick, do you use a scheduler at the moment, or do you use your own? You're on mute.
I was on mute. You mean for my posts?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have in Microsoft Teams, we have what they call a meeting protocol, which is where we list all of the things that we're going to send out on social media, not just LinkedIn. And each month we create like a schedule, so we know week where are we now? Week 51, I think it is now. Week 50. We'll say week 50.1, week 50.2. Those will be our 2 posts for this week. And 51.1, 51.2.
Okay. And do you what's the word that I was looking for? Do you use do you physically post those, like manually, or do you actually put them onto a platform like Hootsuite or something?
Yes, we use Hootsuite, yes.
You use Hootsuite?
Yes,
okay.
We do.
Okay. And how are you finding that? Are you posting via Hootsuite for your own posts and company page, or just?
No, my own posts are done manually. The company stuff is done by one of the girls who work for me.
Okay, excellent stuff. One of the things that I'll supply you all with afterwards is just a LinkedIn post guide for that you can pass on to like a team member if you want to say, hey, this is the format you should use when trying to put a post out there. They can understand the kind of key elements that should appear in a company post, because what to happen in a lot of company posts, hey Gino, very festive, like it.
There goes.
Is the a lot of people will put like a paragraph, and then it will have like a few hashtags or a link, and then a picture, and then that's it. It's getting that format so that at least you have all the key ingredients. It's like baking a cake at the end of the day, but you want to make sure that you've got all the right ingredients in the right order, and call to actions. So if you see me grasping randomly to the right, it's because I took my mouse out of my laptop and it's no longer there, and I keep trying to grab it. And it feels like I'm DJing over here, but not quite getting there. So I've got to use the mouse on my laptop. Okay, so how many of you have seen the new LinkedIn schedule option on your mobile or on your desktop?
No.
No.
Okay, so give me a few seconds. I'm just gonna.
Did you post a link to the new form, Mac, or not?
No, not yet. I'm gonna do that afterwards, because what I'll do is, rather than have all that additional information, I'm just gonna do like a key numbers.
Okay. Yeah. No worries.
Sheet on there. So.
Free work. Group service marketplace advertising, self-learning.
Here we go. What am I doing? There we go. No. Okay, so let me share screen with you. So some of you will have this available, some of you won't. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I found this is a feature that LinkedIn are rolling out around the globe. And I was really, really annoyed that, somebody who has been using LinkedIn for a long time, talk about LinkedIn, coach LinkedIn, train LinkedIn, and I didn't have the feature. But this is what I found is my iPhone, as some of you know, last week went on a special delivery with my laptop, so I didn't have it with me. And I had to log in on my Samsung into LinkedIn. And what I found was that even though I have the latest version of LinkedIn on my iPhone, it didn't have this little bit here. So if you go onto your phone and you create a post, there's an option at the top to hit this little clock. Now, I don't know how many, if you've got it, just drop it in the chat and tell me yes. If you've got an iPhone, I'm going to be very upset.
Is it in the post area?
Where you create a post, where you hit the plus.
Create a post, yeah?
Yeah. So you may have to start a post. Who's that? Nick, you don't have it either. Okay, so that's fine.
I don't.
I found, and you may, I don't know, Nick, if you use a tablet at all. You're on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute again.
Do you use a tablet at all?
Yeah, I've got one right here. I'll try it now.
Okay. Is it iPad or Android?
iPad.
Okay. So you may need to delete and reinstall LinkedIn, and then you'll get the latest version. But I can now schedule posts on my Android, but I can't do so on my iPhone. And it's also coming on the desktop version in the very near future. But effectively, what you'll see is on the top, you'll have this little watch, and you can actually schedule. So as an example, Nick, if you use Hootsuite, schedule a post, you can only schedule an image post or a video post. You can't schedule, as an example, a poll. And you can't schedule some of the other, like celebrate an occasion or find an expert or share that you're hiring, because those are really integrations with other parts of the LinkedIn platform. So when it comes to almost all scheduling platforms, a lot of them you can do text. Some of them you can do text and an image. Some of them you can do text and image and a video, but only a certain length video. And then some of them you can do a document, but only a certain amount of pages. So it all depends on the platform and how up to date their API is with the integration into LinkedIn.
I can do it on my desktop, I found out.
Have you got the schedule on your desktop?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's horrible.
So that's really cool. So I basically start a post and they've got the clock down by post, and it comes up with the date you want to do it and the time you want to do it. And you can view all scheduled posts. So presumably you can stack them up.
Correct.
Wow.
Hold on, I'm going onto my desktop. It has arrived. It has arrived. Thanks, Ray.
So that means that I don't have to send one out at some stupid hour I can write it in the afternoon and do it for the first thing in the morning. I'm
so excited because yesterday when I checked this for today's lesson, I couldn't do it. But now that you've mentioned it, there it is. Yes, you can do it. But please go and check your desktop versions, everybody. But effectively click on start. And then you've got this bottom right-hand side. You click on the clock. Then you can choose the date and you can schedule your posts ages in advance. So one of the things you can go and do now as a test for today is do your Merry Christmas post, your Happy Hanukkah post, your Happy New Year's post, and just schedule them ahead of time. And then once you've put it in, you click your view schedule post and it'll give you a calendar of all your posts. So you don't have to go and do anything complex. But one of the things that I'm going to be doing as an exercise to show you this evening is I'm going to be scheduling all my posts with quotes. So I send out quotes maybe 2-3 times a week, just inspirational quotes. So I'm going to be doing all of those scheduled for the rest of December, January. And the nice thing that you can do now is you can reverse engineer what is happening. So as an example, if you've got an event coming up in January, you may want to go to 2 days before that event, go and post, hey, in 48 hours. And there's some very powerful things here that you couldn't do before because you can't do this from any other platform. So if I go schedule as an example, and I'm going to go, let's go for Christmas Day as an example, and I go next, I can then still go and actually create an event in the future, which most of the time when you create events, it goes live straight away, as an example. So if you want to go and you want to do a post, and I don't know if any of you've done this, but when you create an event, it automatically asks you to post about that event. So you create the event in the LinkedIn events section, and then it says, in order to complete the event posting, you have to post about that event. So you'll say, hey, please join us at this event, and you give a little bit of an intro, and you give some hashtags, and maybe tag a few people that are involved in the event. The challenge with that is, say for argument's sake, I've already posted today, but I want to create a post about that event closer to the time. I've got to go and repost about that event and then repost about that event. So you can actually schedule, for argument's sake, this to just go in 12 hours time. So you can still create the correct dates, upload all the images, put all the information in there, but you can schedule that to go live at a later date, so it doesn't clash with one of your current posts and drop the rankings on that post, if that makes sense.
Do we know how powerful the back end of that is once you've actually got a number of posts lined up? If you can shuffle them around a bit, or you can edit them whilst before they come out?
So this is a good thing. I haven't tested it on my laptop yet, so I'm going to be doing that in the next 24 hours, and then I'll feed back.
Okay, cool. But I mean, otherwise, that's amazing. That'll help me out immediately.
Yeah, it's and these are for your personal posts. But now, as an example, for Nick, who has your company posts coming through, company posts come through, you can then schedule, 24 hours of that post coming through to go and share that company post and mentioning the company, so that it doesn't become a immediate share. It becomes more of an organic kind of process. And then also, say for argument's sake, you want to give a client a shout out, but they've just said something today, and you're with the client, you say, oh, no problems. And as an example, Ray, when we went out and we met up on Sunday, what you could do is when you meet up with a client for a meeting, you can say, oh, no problems. Well, I'm going to post about this on Tuesday. And if you could do us a favor and go and have a look at that and just comment on that, so that any of our clients who may want to use your services can go and see that. You can go and schedule it straight after that meeting and not even have to worry about it, because you can just take a picture with the client or at their office building, or at a coffee shop while you're chatting to them, and it goes out automatically because you've now scheduled it. So you don't have to sit there and go, oh, on Tuesday I must remember to. You can just get it automated and done. The key thing is making sure that within 90 minutes of a post going out is that you go and support any comments on that in order for that to gain momentum as well.
Mac, on the website, how do you do it? Because I couldn't quite.
So if you go to the homepage,
yeah,
and you go start post,
okay, start post.
Bottom right hand side, there should now be a clock next to post.
Yeah, mine doesn't have it.
Okay.
I've checked both the phone and the websites as well.
Okay, well, LinkedIn doesn't like you
then. Apparently not.
It will come. One of the things that I can suggest is if you clear your cache on LinkedIn, log out and then log back in, then that may do it as well, because sometimes it will remain on the old version until you've logged out, logged back in, and cleared the cache.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
Excellent stuff.
It didn't work reloading the app, by the way, on the iPad.
Yeah, I tried the same as well.
I've tried on my iPhone as well. If it wasn't for Ray telling me now that he could do it on his desktop, I wouldn't even have tried it again today on my desktop. But I know that on Android, it's working fine, which is a little bit bizarre.
Also, Mac, before I forget, I know you're in the middle of explaining this. I just wanted to let you know that post about who farted in the elevator. I got 5,500. Well, if somebody farted in the elevator, would you say something? I got nearly 5,500 impressions from that.
Jeez. Wow! That was a fun post.
It was, yeah.
That was a fart in the thunderstorm, yeah.
That's it.
But it shows you, the LinkedIn have created that laughing emoji, and there's more humor to be had, and asking real questions around the workplace and what happens in the workplace, and how people react, and opening, because it's all about creating discussion and engagement, and that's really what. So 5,500 farts, that's brilliant. So I'm just trying to think, Eugene, one of the things you may want to try is try a different browser as well. So if you are using Chrome, try an Edge or Safari or one of those.
Okay.
And see what happens.
Eugene, for 5,000 impressions, how many connections do you have at the moment, may I ask?
I'm getting close to 1.8.
1,800?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. No, it's a lot
more.
Okay,
so Ray,
yeah,
I like the fact that you asked that question, because the reality is that it's irrelevant of how many connections you have when it comes to the impressions that you get on your posts. And the reason for that is it comes really down to activity, and it comes down to your engagement. So as long as you're engaging with people outside of just our group, so as an example, the IBNG group or any of your clients, and you do this on a regular basis, and if I was you, a lot of your stuff is around branding, but what I would suggest is start letting people into who is Ray, as an example, because at the end of the day, people buy from people.
I would start with, what is Ray?
What is Ray?
What is Ray, or who is Ray?
What is Ray?
But as an example, one of the things that you'll see Joel's doing really well is he posts on a regular basis just a photograph of himself and what he's doing. And then he'll go, this is what I'm up to, or I'm working on this, or I'm working on that. Or you'll post a picture with him with somebody else. Oh, we're working on this. Because what that's doing is, by the time somebody connects and actually has a conversation with him, they feel like they know him already.
That's true. That's true. There's only a couple of pictures I've got of myself on LinkedIn, I must say.
Yeah. So, and as an example, you met, how many times have you met Joel now?
Once.
Okay. And how well did you think you knew Joel?
So he's my brother.
Yeah. So you've seen him on Zoom, you've seen him on Facebook, you've seen him on, not Facebook, LinkedIn, probably Facebook too.
Very personable, and it is about his personality and him. I agree.
Yeah, but this has been a massive change over the last year. In fact, he was saying, I think I've gone from 2,000 something connections to now 3,500. He was on 1,500 connections at the beginning of this year.
Brilliant.
So 3,500. So he's more than doubled his connections in the last year, and followers. So, and 90% of that is just by him building a personal brand. It's about getting people to engage. So as an example, ask yourself, how do you introduce the human element into your business? So, give me a second. I'm just going to go stop share. There we go. When it comes to the human element, even with company pages and things like that, the key thing is, what are the things that have impacted the business that from a human element you can tell a story about. So as an example, when it comes to a problem that you solve, if you say, and I'm just thinking of Nick with your solution with the scanning technology, it's like, okay, well, you're talking about a feature and something that it does, but when you talk about telling a story about the impact on not only on the bottom line, but the efficiency of making sure that people get the right prescription, as an example, or get the right information and get the right thing in front of them at the right time. And if that isn't, what an error could cost a business. And just little things like that. It's why are you smiling so much there, Nick?
Because I'm in a hotel in Germany at the moment, and my sleeping pattern's way off track. And I wrote myself an email this morning at 5 o'clock with some LinkedIn ideas, and one of them was exactly what you just said. Yeah. Well, kind of, yeah.
Good. Well, then we're on the right track. That's awesome. Yeah. But this is the thing: is get into the process of telling stories, because the biggest challenge that people have, a friend of mine, friend through LinkedIn now, and it's Richard van der Blom, who is based out in Spain, originally from Holland. He posted yesterday and he asked the question of, before you post a post, ask yourself, what value does this serve for my audience? And if you can't answer that question, don't post it. Like like how does this serve? Like, is it going to give them extra information? Is it going to help them with their decision-making process? Is it going to help them understand something better? Is it going to be able to, impact them in some way? And if the answer is yes, and it's going to leave them better off, then great. But if you can't answer that question, then a lot of the time I see the heartless marketing posts, the ones that are just, here's my company, here's our phone number, here's our website, fill in this form, buy now. But there's no emotion, there's no reason in it, there's nothing like that in there. And what you want to do, and something that I was speaking to somebody yesterday about again, and it was around the customer being the hero in the journey, is in fact that was yourself, Ray, was it?
I've done a story about that today. Yeah.
So
many businesses are the bully in the playground. Basically, we do this, we do that. Mine's best.
But the thing is, a lot of clients, and all of us fall into this at some point. Even I did this with my security company. I was talking about, hey, look at me. This is my solution. This is what we can do. This is what I can do. I can save you money. I can do this. I can do. People don't care. And there's that old saying of, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you can make your client the hero, then, and I'm thinking of, again, sorry, Nick, for picking on you, but I'm thinking of your solution as an example. Because of the accuracy and the number of units you can scan as an example, what that does is it improves how you serve your clients, which means actually your client is the hero by choosing your solution, because what they are trying to choose is they are trying to choose less error. They want to improve better production, better service to their clients. So, when you talk about your client, you can say, hey, we're really excited about this client who's decided to up their game. And yeah, it just happens to be our solution. But one of the things that is important to them is you as the client. So when you start talking about that, it changes the whole dynamics of the conversation. It's not just, hey, look at this client, they bought ours because we're the best. So what? But if you can tell a story of how it impacts, that client, as an example, you can turn around and say, well, this client used to do X, and now they're able to, deliver their solution so much faster.
Yeah.
At the time of the year when we have postal strikes, so we have all these, massive impacts around the world, we're able to, or they are able to get their product to their client much quicker. And how do you think that makes them feel? And it's, if you can get something like that out of it, we'll go, okay, that makes me feel, angry or sad. You're going to get engagement around your post as well.
It's important that yes, your customer is the hero, but you're seen as the guide. So all you're there is to kind of help guide the story and actually sort of and be there as the help to the hero.
Yeah.
So because you can't force them to buy anything, but what you can do is you can show them what the solution might be and what that might look like if they were to use your solution. You can even say, but you don't have to use my solution, but what's going to happen if you don't use my solution or something else? And you're quite happy to be able to do that. But you'll probably find out that if you don't do it, if you do that, but if you want to come back later, we're still here to help you.
Yeah. Quick question. How many of you have dealt with a client? Now, I know, Eugene, you deal with complaints, so you probably have this anyway. But how many of you have dealt with a situation where somebody's come to you after something went wrong with somebody else and they've come to you to fix the problem? Yeah, that happens quite often. And unfortunately in business, that normally, and let me ask you this question, and I'm again point this at, I'll ask Nick, Ray, and Eugene this question. If somebody came to you because they had a problem with a solution they were using, and then they came to you to fix it, was the previous solution cheaper or more expensive? Don't answer yet. Just put it into the chat. And then Ryan, I'm going to ask you a different question. Have you ever gone out and bought something and it didn't work the way you expected, and then you had to replace it. What you replaced it with, was it less expensive or more expensive? Okay, so Ray's expanded a little bit more on that, which is actually, pretty much the rule of thumb. And my dad, this is one thing I'll never forget. My dad taught me this, the saying in Afrikaans, which is "Goedkoop is duurkoop," which is basically buying cheap is buying expensive, buy cheap, buy twice. It's that kind of element. And the reality is, we, even if our product is more expensive, a lot of the time we can actually save people money by educating them as to why it's best to use our solution rather than go for a cheaper version that's going to cost them double later on.
It's always the value added. And again, if you can actually find ways of actually adding value to what it is you're trying to provide as a service, and try to kind of keep it still within the price point, you're still going to be seen as being the best solution. Always try to find that little bit extra you can actually offer that makes you not just to come up with the best person to go to, but they're going to feel really good about it afterwards as well.
So think about do any of you remember the old MasterCard adverts? Like the price.
That'll do nicely. Or was that another version of that advert?
American Express.
Was it American Express as well? The one that basically comes back and at the end it says priceless. Seen those? So, example, and I'm just going to use web design as an example. So, if you go and look at web design, you can go and buy it from somebody like Wix, or you can go and buy it, go and do it DIY. And then you basically put like a shopping list together of all the things that it costs. So your time times the hour equals so much in time. Then the plugins that you got to do is going to cost you so much in time, and then the ROI, after 2 months online, one client, and the total cost. So you can work it out, and you do something like a cost analysis that basically says, after buying the cheap solution, all the extra plugins, getting the experts to then tweak it and fix it, and then have to upgrade and then convert to a new website, cost me $3.5 grand or $4.5 grand for a £50 website, as an example. And then you've got going to an expert, and then yes, it costing you $1,500 for a proper website, and it took a little bit longer for the research and all the rest of it. And then getting regular clients, what is that worth? And then at the bottom it says priceless, because at the end of the day, what you're getting is what you've paid for, and you're getting a return on investment. Whereas a lot of people, and I've learned this the hard way many times, unfortunately, where I've kind of gone, okay, well, I know what I should be doing, but let me go for this one for now. And then when I look at it again, I'm like, geez, man, I've created all this extra work. So think about all those people that come to you whose problems you solve, and ask yourself about, why did they end up where they were? Why did they choose that solution in the first place? So if you can really go down that line, so, Ray, when you have somebody come to you who took out a cheaper solution, didn't get what they want, unpack that process with them, because this is where you build value in yourself. Because if I sit there and I go with a client, and I hear this a lot of times on LinkedIn, where somebody goes, oh, I've just spent £2,500 on a LinkedIn course. I'm like, oh, okay, so how long was the course? Well, it was 2 days. I was like, oh, okay, 2 days, when? And they're like, right in the middle of my week. Oh, did you have to take time off? Yes, I had to take time off. Oh, okay, how much did that cost you? Because most of the people I work with are entrepreneurs or business owners or senior executives, and that's like a day out of that's quite an expensive day out of work. And then it's like, okay, great. So you've spent that out. How much of that did you go and implement of the stuff that you learned? Oh, no, well, I took lots of notes. I haven't had a chance to go and put that in. I'm going to get around to it because the intention is there. And then you go through, okay, so you've taken 2 days of work. That cost you X amount. You've paid for the course. That's cost you X amount. and then it's been 6 weeks or 2 months and you still haven't done anything. So the delay in that information getting, taken action on, that's going to cost you a certain amount, because information as you go on gets older and gets out of date. So it's, building that up. And then when you say to a client, okay, so I understand all the challenges you've been through, so let me fix it for you. If we can do it in bite-sized chunks, so you go away on a weekly basis and you move that needle, is that worth more to you than just being able to, go on a course that you're not going to implement, or take on a product or a solution that you're not going to be able to roll out because you haven't got the technical expertise. And it's the same thing as websites. I look at how many people go and they set up a website themselves, and then the most important part of the website, the conversion to clients, like the form or the integration with their CRM, they sit there and they go, what, I have to pay for this plugin. And then I have to and then it doesn't work with my CRM. And then all of a sudden they're sitting there and they're paying a fortune to get small things that could have been done on a proper solution in the first place, integrated seamlessly. Does that all make sense?
Mm. Yeah, no, indeed. I think it comes down to it's a strange one, because it's about education on one level, because if you don't know what questions to ask, if you don't know what questions to ask, so it's not worth going to your clients and saying, what can I provide you? What could I give you that I'm not giving you at the moment? They wouldn't know the answer to that.
People don't know what they don't know.
No, so you've always got so obviously all part of this process on LinkedIn, and also the joy of it is the fact you're always educating, always educate, because if it opens up the field, because we're not selling cans of beans. A can of beans is basically the same everywhere, but we're all selling services which are unique. And how do you kind of differentiate one service version of to another?
Yeah. So as an example, doing a post about what does good look like. Like sometimes you just assume, because you have such a high bar, it's very easy for us to assume that everybody else is doing what we do or delivering the same level of service. The reality is, more often than not, they're not. So it's like, what does good look like? And then you can do a post and unpack and say, hey, well, sometimes I'm just so used to my bar being set at us being able to deliver these things, not realizing that actually a lot of you don't know that these are some of the things that we do. Did you know? So sometimes it's just telling people straight out and going, hey, by the way, did you know we do X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
It may say so on the tin, but did you know it comes with all these extra bits?
So kind of like good versus expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. And asking, this is where polls come in really, really powerfully. Is doing a poll and asking the people in your network, what is your expectation of what good looks like, as an example, and say, which one of these three, or choose one of these four that you expect as a minimum expectation in, whether it be customer service or product delivery or sales process, or but just don't be afraid to ask questions where it's just going to get some people riled up, because it's kind of an obvious question, because what's obvious to you is not so obvious to other people. I mean, look at Eugene's fart question. There's some people that would have looked at that and gone, I'm keeping quiet, I'm not mentioning a thing. I'm just going to hold my breath until I get to the top floor and die. But there are other people that will actually take that step and say something. So when you think about your audience on LinkedIn, understand that not everybody thinks the same, and allow people to be able to have polar opposite opinions, because that starts discussion. And when you start having that discussion, that's the engagement, and that gets things out there. So, and also for your, how many of you, when you get together with other industry people, you talk about challenges people face, you can talk for hours about all the problems that people, other people who don't do their job properly cause for people like yourselves. Yeah. And this is one of the things, like if I meet another person who's an expert in security, the chances are we'll talk about, oh man, the control panel hasn't been put into the right place, and the guy didn't wire this up properly, and the backup system didn't work. We'll go into details of those kind of things, which this is more industry specific than it is client facing, because a client at the end of the day doesn't go into that kind of detail. But it allows you also to have a discussion with your industry competitors and experts about the type of things that should or shouldn't be done. And one of the things that I've seen as an epic one is in the security industry, there are a lot of engineer groups or engineering groups where the engineers will hang out and they'll kind of bitch and complain and compare what bad looks like. And as an example, one of the security companies that I had as a competitor many years ago, we went in to go and have a look at an installation, and I don't know if the engineer was smoking something or what he was on, but he put the control panel in the corner of the room, and he wanted to put a motion sensor on the one side and one in the other corner. And in those days, it was still wired, so it wasn't wireless. So he ran a cable from the, and if you can remember, look at these cubicles that we're in, and imagine, let me see if I can do a whiteboard. I don't know how to use this thing. There we go. Okay. So if you can imagine a square like that, and what he did was the control panel went here, and then motion sensor here, motion sensor here, and then he ran a cable like that across the wall and like that across the wall. And the client came back and she had a painting, whoops, over there, this cable running diagonally across from the corner of her room, right across to the other corner where the control panel was. This horrible cable in this pristine, like £2 million home. And yeah, we got sent in to go and fix it. So imagine, that happening. Can you all see the drawing that I did?
Yeah. Looks like a Picasso.
Drawing. I've never used whiteboard before, so close whiteboard. There we go.
Yeah.
So
did you save your Picasso though?
Yeah, no, I didn't save it because I don't want anybody to see that live again. But that's, the kind of thing that you can do if you're trying to target industry stuff. You can have industry specific talk or discussion. So as an example, Ray, if you're talking about branding, there are countless people on LinkedIn that talk about branding, marketing, all those things. If you can get them all riled up and talk about a specific that's a pet peeve in the industry, it's like, why do people do this and expect their customers to be happy, as an example? And then what happens is you get social proof from other experts in your industry also talking about why it shouldn't be that. Now, what actually happens is if I am a LinkedIn person and I go and post about a pet peeve, why people don't teach this, and I get another 100 LinkedIn experts coming to comment on my post saying, yes, Mac, I agree with you. Why do they do this? What does that do for my credibility? Yeah. So all you want to do is you want to be able to engage your competitors as well and say, hey, why do people use substandard service, or why do they use substandard products, or why do they install it incorrectly and don't follow basic guidelines? Common errors, the top 10 mistakes people make. That's one of the big posts that really do really well is, the top 10 tips and the top 10 mistakes that people make in the industry. Whatever that is within yours. Eugene, when it comes to customer service and dealing with customer complaints, I have no doubt you can put a top 10 do not list on there. Do not rile them up or tell them, well, it's your problem, it's not mine. Or I can think of some other very colorful language. But can you think of any examples?
Oh, geez, now you're asking. Putting me on the spot here, Mac.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you all because we have 5 minutes left. I want you to create or think about creating 2 posts. One, the top 10, or it can even be top 5. If you can't come up with 10, make it top 5. But top 5 or top 10 tips for your industry. And then the other one, the top 5 or top 10 mistakes people make in your industry. Yeah? Then Ryan, because you're still trying to work out your industry and all the rest of you sitting there going, well, what do I do with this? What I want you to be able to do is the top 5 challenges that somebody like yourself face when it comes to choosing a career path, as an example. Yeah?
Yeah, got you. That's a good one. I actually like that. I like that.
Yeah. Because ultimately what you're going to do, you're going to be talking from, the key thing here is you're talking from experience. You bring that human element in. And then once you've done your top 5 or your top 10, I want you to either schedule your post using the new schedule option, or you can go and just post it. Nick, are you getting ready to go watch the football? He's on mute again.
Yeah, he's on mute.
No, I'm getting ready to go out for some dinner because I'm an hour ahead here, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, we'll wrap up. But so the key thing here is by next week, I want you to have created a post with either and it doesn't have to be both. It can just be one or the other. But a top 5 or a top 10 tips or a top 5 mistakes that people make. And really think and have some fun with it. And maybe even before you post it, go and ask other people that you know of that are either in your own company or people that you're around, and just talk about the subject and say, what are the things that you find common? And then what you can do is when you do the post, you may want to go and tag a colleague or somebody in that post and go, myself and so were discussing some of the common mistakes. Here are the top 5 mistakes. And then you can create like, how many of you use PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Hate it.
So PowerPoint is a nice, simple way of being able to export. When you save it as a PDF, you can then upload it and it becomes a carousel post. So you just slide through. So if you go and create page 1 with the title on, because you don't want to give it all away, and then page 2 is point 1 and page 2 is point 3, and so. And then on the last page, make sure that you put a call to action like connect with me or follow my hashtag or send me a DM, something that might even have your company's contact info, or email me at if you want the full version. So you might do the top 5 out of 10 mistakes people make. If you want the full 10, email me and I'll send it to, and I'll send it to you. Have a look at a way just to get people engaged. And then if people are interested, they'll ask for more. And that's where you start conversations. All make sense?
Yeah.
Have some fun with it. Have a discussion. The minimum I expect is that you just come up with 5 things and you do a text post. But you can have a lot of fun with this. You can create a carousel. You can do a a poll. You can create a video. You can create an image around it that just really says the kind of one of the points. Just have some fun with it and see how creative you can be around this post. And if you have a challenge with it, just WhatsApp me. WhatsApp is the easiest. Has everybody got my contact number? Yes, I think so. WhatsApp me and just that's the best way to get me. I'm getting tons of LinkedIn messages, so I'm trying to keep up, and it's a bit overwhelming right now, but it's all good fun. Is that everybody up for that challenge?
Yeah. Do that.
Okay, so before we go, accountability. Choose whatever you've chosen to do, put that into the chat and say, this is what I'm going to do for this week.
6.
And if you're not 100% sure, just say, this is what I'm leaning towards.